Yo, Cover One crew, what is going on? Chris Chow's back again. Hope everybody's doing great, man. It is the weekend, and we got to do some start-sit lineup advice for this week number 9. Already Thursday Night Football in the books. We got a lot of teams on the bye. That's going to be a problem, no kidding. But first, we got some exciting news. I'm telling y'all, Greg's got a message for y'all, so listen up.
Hey guys, Cover One is excited to announce our new partnership with BetUS. BetUS has a live wagering on all major games, the best betting variety in the business, and an easy deposit and withdrawal process with the fastest payouts in the industry. Our loyal Cover One fans get a choice between 2 exclusive offers, either a 125% sign-up bonus on your first deposit up to $2,500, or a free $50 bet with no deposit required. Just use promo code COVER1 on the links provided in the show description below. BetUS, where the game begins.
Y'all can't hate that deal with BetUS. You gotta love it. But nevertheless, week number 9 start-sit lineup advice. Like I said, you know what? I'm telling y'all, even if you're on the bottom floor of your leagues, this is not over. Keep going, keep striving, make some trades before the trade deadline, and let's get this win for week number 9. The bye weeks, like I said, it's bye week Armageddon. The Browns, Cowboys, Broncos, Giants, Steelers, and 49ers all on the bye week this week on top of the Thursday night game. That has already been played, so hopefully, the Eagles didn't put you in a bad spot if you're playing a bunch of Eagles players like I did on Thursday, but I'm still okay. Nevertheless, let's go. Arizona Cardinals taking on those Seattle Seahawks. 5-3 Seattle Seahawks. This is a big game for the Arizona Cardinals. Kyler Murray gets a stud start for me this week, even though we know that the Seattle Seahawks secondary has played exceptionally well this year with the rookies they do have with Woolen and Bryant. They have looked supremely fantastic. I love this Woolen kid. I think he's a big-time baller, but Kyler Murray, 7 boom games. I think they're starting to figure it out. D-Hop coming back was the elixir they required, and he's going to do it again. Kyler Murray's going to have a very good day, in my opinion. James Conner still on the injury report with those ribs. We'll see if he does play this week. If he does not, then Benjamin again is a fire-up, low-risk play against the Seahawks defense that is gashable, and they will give up points, but that offense will keep them in contest. If James Conner does play, I think you got to fire him up, man. You've been waiting on his services for far too long, unless you dropped him already. D-Hop has been as advertised, man. We were waiting for it. This is why we, stashed him on the bench and drafted him late. Low-risk play. The only reason it's a low risk, it's because of the way that this secondary has been playing. Like I mentioned, he still should give you a good threshold of at least 12 to 15 points in this contest. Rondale Moore, mid-level risk, because I just want to see them do it again, okay? And I'm skeptical, and I'm going to continue to be until it becomes something of a constant theme in this Arizona Cardinals offense. I do believe it's going to continue, but Rondale Moore, it's a good flex play this week, I want to say, but I'm not, I'm tempering my expectations. Zach Ertz, TD upside once again. He's just been uber consistent for your tight end spot. You're playing him every single week, regardless of, what matchups you do have. You're playing a Zach Ertz, man. Start him up and fire him up, man. The Atlanta Falcons taking on those LA Chargers, the fresh off the bye week LA Chargers, and Marcus Mariota, low risk play once again. I told y'all last week you should have had him on the bench waiting for it if you had the bye week troubles with Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert. This week again versus the LA Chargers secondary. Yes, they're coming off the bye week, but Mariota has been playing very well enough for fantasy football purposes. 135 points for this man. You can't fade that. Marcus Mariota, if you have a quarterback on the bye this week, he likely was on the waiver, and you could do a lot worse than my guy, Marcus Mariota. Tyler Algier, mid-level risk. And we were waiting, did not happen to see Cordero Patterson off the IR, so Algier once again is a safe bet to get a decent too heavy workload, I should say, and that goal line appeal with upside. So you will likely have to wait it out unless they get in the red zone. There's always the potential Mariota's going to snake that touchdown and vault rate on the rushing upside, but Algier, decent start this week, mid-level risk. There is potential for him to bust, but I don't hate it if you're stuck. Obviously, like I said, bye week trouble is going to be heavy this week. Drake London, Zacchaeus, I don't like it. Keep him on your bench again this week until we see it, come to fruition, especially for Drake London. I can't do it. He's got to be on the bench. I know a lot of people flirting with the possibilities of dropping him on the waiver in redraft formats, so I don't like it. Don't do it. It's my advice. I'm still sitting Drake London until he shows better. We got Kyle Pitts. He's back from the bottom floor. Now we're here. And I mean, mid-level risk for me again in this contest. I think that they realize they got to force feed this man. He's too darn good to not get the ball. I'm firing up Kyle Pitts this week against the Chargers secondary that has seen better days. And I think, hopefully we find another end zone trip for Kyle Pitts. Give us the 12 points, and I think we'll be satisfied from our tight end. The Baltimore Ravens taking on the New Orleans Saints on Monday Night Football. Lamar Jackson, I mean, this offense is starting to get a lot of injuries, and it's not looking good. Recent news that Rashad Bateman is out for the season with a Liz Frank. This is not good news for this guy. Everyone had high hopes, including myself, that Bateman was going to have a very good year. Did not pan out. Injuries have precluded him from doing that. Lamar Jackson has been up and down this season, even though he does have 7 boom games. I mean, it's been a roller coaster ride the last 3 weeks with getting Lamar Jackson and those top end points. He got over 20 last week, so you got to think it's a very big positive. Extra rest for Monday Night Football. Going up against the New Orleans Saints that, they can be beatable. I get it. They pitched a shutout last week. I don't foresee that happening again this week. Kenyon Drake, he is likely going to be the guy getting all the volume this week because Gus Edwards is still dealing with that hamstring injury. So they say Gus is likely to play. He's a questionable tag. He's likely to play, but I think he's going to be on a pitch count, which means that Kenyon Drake is going to have a sizable workload against this New Orleans Saints defense, and I like Kenyon Drake a start this week over a Gus Edwards. Devin Duvernay, fire him up, baby. It is low-risk play for me. They got to throw to someone. Lamar's got to throw to someone, and I think it's Devin Duvernay. Yes, Deshaun Jackson is there. We might see a couple deep shots. Maybe he finds his way in the end zone, but Devin Duvernay should see at minimum 5 to 7 targets in this contest, potentially 80 yards and a touchdown. Could be coming your way, which is very good. 4 boom games for Devin Duvernay. Now that there is no other competition standing in his way, as in Rashad Bateman, so he should at least get a decent target share to come his way. Robinson as well. He looked good last week. He was all over the field. He was the only receiver that was getting open and playing, and I think he's dealing with an injury as well. He is a questionable with a groin. I think he is going to suit up from everything that I'm seeing right now. Nothing has said that he is likely going to miss this contest, so it's going to be Duvernay, Robinson, and D-Jax doing all the damage in the receiving game. Mark Andrews, I got him here, but he's an injury risk right now. We will have to see if he does practice on Saturday today, and if he does, then it's one of those risks that he is not fully healthy with dealing with the shoulder, the ankle. I mean, so he injured. There was a brand new injury with the shoulder last contest, so we'll see. If it's not, Isaiah likely is your guy that you're going to want to fire up because he did look good, and Lamar Jackson did trust his services. He did make plays. So all y'all that have Andrews, if likely still on your waiver wire, I should say, I mean, go and pick him up in case Andrews does not suit up for these Baltimore Ravens. The Buffalo Bills Mafia. We're taking on those Jets on the horrible MetLife turf. Please, God, do not have injuries. I might have jinxed it right now. Knock on wood. I'll knock on the desk right now because I'm absolutely terrified of this turf. Josh Allen, stud start every single week. No kidding. There's no even thinking about it. Devin Singletary, and we got newly acquired Nyheim Hines to add to this backfield. I'm happy that, no disrespect to Zach Moss, but it was time. We had to get him off this team. Now you got Nyheim Hines, you got James Cook, you got Devin Singletary. The important aspect of this trade for the Buffalo Bills makes them extremely versatile, that much more in the from the running back room. All these guys possess very similar skill sets. They can catch the ball, they can run in between the tackles, and then between Nyheim Hines and James Cook, they got elite level speed. So you gotta love what this brings on the dynamic from this running back room. Devin Singletary has looked very good and very sharp. I'm giving Singletary a mid-level risk. I think you're pretty safe to start him this week as well. Nyheim Hines, don't be surprised. It's early. He got there late. So, I mean, getting schooled up on the playbook is going to be very difficult for him to really make an impact in this contest, but there could be a few plays that are scripted directly for him in this contest. So we'll see if he can make some magic happen on the field. I am curious to see how this is going to inhibit a James Cook. I would not start Nyheim Hines, and I would not start James Cook, obviously, for obvious reasons, but for Bills fans, I am looking for this to see how this is going to shake out in this backfield this season as we move forward. Stephon Diggs, I'm giving him a low risk, and this is a little bit more respect to a Sauce Gardner. Diggs versus Sauce, I mean, it's going to be a show. I'm excited, man. I'm a huge fan of Sauce Gardner. I think he's an absolute baller. He was a steal. This is going to be a good one. If Diggs can light up Sauce Gardner in this contest, then we know Diggs is just elite of elite because Sauce is one real-time player. Still low-risk play. I still foresee Diggs having a very decent game, a decent to great game, I should say. But Gabe Davis, on the other hand, he should be able to pull coverage, and we should see a lot of Josh Allen taking what the defense gives him, and I could foresee as well Gabe Davis having a very big game. Fire up Mr. Gabe Davis. Also, I'm giving a high risk to Isaiah McKenzie this week. I just haven't liked this game the past few weeks. It's looking laboring, like he's trying too hard, like he's trying to make big plays and it's just not coming to fruition. Dropping passes, tripping over his own feet, etc., etc. I just don't like it. Keep Isaiah on the bench at this point. Dawson Knox does possess some TD upside this week once again. They're starting to utilize this offense, or him in this offense once again, so I do foresee that potential again. But I mean, you got to go for the low floor, I should say. It's going to be like what? 3 receptions, 30 yards, and potentially a touchdown. So you are held hostage to that touchdown reception from a Dawson Knox. Carolina Panthers taking on the Cincinnati Bengals in Cincinnati. This is a big one for them because they're trying to keep their playoff hopes alive. 2-6. Horrible finish that last contest versus the Falcons. Missing the field goals. I mean, DJ Moore taking his helmet off. You guys got to be smarter, man. This is how you lose games in the NFL. PJ Walker, on the other hand, he looks good, and nobody's talking enough about that throw he made to DJ Moore late in that contest. That was like a 65-yard pinpoint throw, one of the best throws I've seen all season long. And I mean, PJ Walker, big ups to you. Mid-level risk. If you're in quarterback trouble, I'm okay. Fire up a PJ Walker this week. He's shown enough that he's at least going to stretch the field and give opportunities to DJ Moore, who is a low risk. Once again, I said it a couple weeks back when PJ was playing. They traded away Robbie Anderson. They fired the coaching staff. This was the time. I told y'all that they were going to force feed a DJ Moore to see what they had in his services. They're going to continue to do this. So DJ Moore, easy start for me once again this week, as well as Deonta Foreman. Where'd this guy come from again? Jesus, man, you got an Achilles injury, and now you're looking like a light King Henry on the field. He looks good. Chuba Hubbard is out in this contest, so you foresee, again, a great amount of volume coming to Foreman's direction. He's got 2 boom games since taking over. They traded CMC away. Foreman's a great start, man. Hopefully you got him off the waiver. If you got him, you got to play him. Laviska Shenault, Terrace Marshall, and Ian Thomas still got him as high-level risks, even though we did see Terrace Marshall see a lot of work as well. So this was kind of the interesting aspect of when Carolina traded Robbie Anderson to see if the Terrace Marshall was going to be suitable in this offense. He looked good, and I still got some hope that he's going to turn out to be a decent wide receiver. If he hits again this week, he will be climbing up my ladder, up my board, to say at least that we can have some potential flex opportunity from a Terrace Marshall. The Chicago Bears, and I mean, taking on these Miami Dolphins at home, it's a very interesting contest. The Dolphins are favored by, I believe, 4.5 points. Justin Fields, he's been impressing, and this is what we want to see. I am the evaluator of quarterbacks. This is what I want to see. I want to see progression every single game. Yes, there's going to be sidesteps. It's a young quarterback in his second system in 2 years since being a rookie in the league. He's still learning, man, so everybody's got to give him some time. Get some patience. The offensive line is not good. We know this. Justin Fields over the last couple games is starting to figure it out. He's making some good throws, making the safe throws. We just want to see more out of the progressions, more out of the reads. They simplified the offense, but he looks good. Low-risk level play versus the Miami Dolphins, even though they did get Bradley Chubb. Good Lord, he's going to be running for his life again, but I do believe Justin Fields is starting to figure it out, and they got themselves a little Chase Claypool. They got some help and assistance where it was needed at the wide receiver position. David Montgomery, so we'll start there. David Montgomery, Khalil Herbert. Right now, I got Monty as a mid-level risk, where I got Khalil Herbert as a low risk. Herbert's just balling, man. 5 boom games for Herbert to Monty's 3. And, I mean, you're talking almost double the points at this point, 95 to 66. So, I mean, Herbert is this guy. I told you guys last week as well. He's auditioning for this role to take over the backfield in next season over David Montgomery, which could be sent packing on the free agent market. So, definitely for me, they want to see what they have in Herbert, and I think he is the safer play as we move forward. Darnell Mooney, mid-level risk. This is only going to help with the presence of a Chase Claypool, even though, like I said, for the other player that was new, Naheem Hines, points. That was new to the roster for the Bills. Chase Claypool's too new to understand the entire playbook, but he will have some plays schemed up for him. But the best positive, even if he is playing decoy and pulling coverage from a Darnell Mooney, fire up Mooney this week. I think he's going to have a decent game versus the Miami Dolphins defense, who has been gashed in the last few weeks in the pass game as well. So, I mean, Claypool, keep him on the bench this week. If you have nobody else, I can completely understand. It's just going to be very high risk. I got him as a mid-level risk because he's just too new to understand. Maybe they got a couple deep shots to him and he scores a touchdown. But, I mean, that's a higher risk play for me this week to suit up Chase Claypool. Cole Kmet, I still got him as a high risk, just not enough volume coming his way to trust. The Cincinnati Bengals taking on those Carolina Panthers. As I mentioned, Joey B, man, Swaggy B. 7 boom games did not look good on that Monday night contest. They got their handed to them, you know what I'm saying. Cleveland Browns just absolutely manhandled these Cincinnati Bengals, and this week they need a get-right game, and it's at home versus Carolina. I think they do get right in a big way. I don't understand why they're not running the ball. Zach Taylor, I don't know what you're doing. You lost Jamar Chase. You got to keep the defense honest. Your offensive line was in shambles last week, and you did no checkdowns. You did no screens to mix in, and you just didn't run the ball. So, I mean, you got to figure this out, clean it up. Joe Mixon has got to be a bigger part of this offense. I got him at a mid-level risk only for Joe Mixon, only because of the coaching staff. I just don't know if they're prepared to utilize him as we would want to believe. But definitely Joe Burrow, he gets a low-risk level play for me. Again, you're firing him up every single week, but I think against this Carolina Panthers defense that is decent, he still will be able to find his receivers, T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd, who both have low-risk plays for me again this week. They're just too good. I mean, they could be definite game changers in this contest once again. Tyler Boyd is just feasting, almost at 100 points, just absolutely phenomenal production, even without a Jamar Chase, and Hayden Hurst gets a mid-level risk this week over the TD upside because I think they're going to have to mix him in as well. He's going to have very limited coverage come his way with Higgins and Boyd pulling it all, and he's the third option in that pass game because they just don't utilize Joe Mixon at this point. But I mean, the Bengals is a big one for you. I like what I see for potential fantasy productivity. The Detroit Lions making trades of their own. No more TJ Hawkinson. We got Jared Goff. DeAndre Swift is dealing with some injuries. He's a questionable. Watch out for that injury report on Sunday. See if he suits up. But Josh Reynolds is doubtful for this contest if you guys haven't seen. So it is Khalif Raymond and Amon-Ra St. Brown along with James Mitchell because Brock Wright is a questionable with a concussion on the wrong side of playing, the replacement for a TJ Hawkinson. But Jared Goff gets a mid-level risk for me this week against Green Bay. I don't really like it. He hasn't shown out very well, has gone back to his old ways of anemic play. I don't like it. I'm not trusting Goff this week. If I have my choice, he is sitting on my bench. DeAndre Swift, if he's playing, you're firing him up once again because, I mean, he's just too darn good to keep on the bench. Obviously, with injury risk, I'm still firing him up. Jamal Williams, if Swift doesn't play, you're starting him. But I think even if Swift does play, you're starting him. 102 points because he's getting a lot of touches. He steals all the goal line opportunities. So Jamal Williams, especially on bye week, hell week, you got to start Jamal Williams as well. Amon-Ra St. Brown does get the upside of low risk because no more TJ Hawkinson, the injury to Josh Reynolds. So you got to envision him getting at least 10 to 12 targets in this contest because there's no one else to throw to, man. So it's Amon-Ra St. Brown day. Fire him up everywhere you have him. Khalif Raymond, James Mitchell, keep them on the bench or the wire. And, I mean, that's those Detroit Lions going against Green Bay. As for those Green Bay Packers, we got him going up against the Detroit Lions. Aaron Rodgers, he did not look good. And, I mean, the coaching staff did not entrust him to, throw the ball against the Buffalo Bills. That was very peculiar. But, I mean, this is where they get right. Okay, low-risk level play for an Aaron Rodgers this week versus the Detroit Lions, who can be gashed. Even if they have a lead, the defense will allow teams to claw back. Aaron Jones, low-risk play once again. You got to get this ground game going. It was working versus the Buffalo Bills, but the Bills were allowing it to happen because they thought Aaron Rodgers was going to throw the ball in this contest. I think they do run. They do have a good, balance of run and pass, and Allen Lazard should be back in this game. He is questionable with the shoulder. Christian Watson, questionable with a concussion. Both etch into play. I think they're on the right side of playing from what I hear. A.J. Dillon, high-level risk. You are not starting this man. I don't even care if you have bye-week trouble. I do not like it. He has not done anything for you in weeks. How can you trust it? Romeo Doubs, Allen Lazard both get mid-level risk, or Christian Watson gets an injury designation from me. I do not like it, so if I had to pick my poison, if Lazard plays, fire him up. He's got the best level chemistry with Aaron Rodgers. Romeo Doubs to a lesser extent in your flex. Robert Tonyan, mid-level risk. There's better tight ends like Evan Ingram out there, so if you can find an Evan Ingram or a Hayden Hurst, I would definitely go in that direction over a Robert Tonyan. The Indianapolis Colts taking their travels to New England. And I mean, JT, good Lord, this is the season from hell for you because he is out of this contest once again. He has not done the owners favors for being the top overall pick in the fantasy football drafts. Sam Ehlinger, he looked good. I mean, what can you say? 7.5 points was not great on the stat line for fantasy productivity, but he looked good. I'm a supporter of the man. His passes are on point. He does make plays, but they did, pull it back last week, Frank Reich and company. They did not let him air it out as much as we wanted to see. There was a big drop pass from Michael Pittman, which could have inflated his stats as well, but a high-risk level play versus the Patriots and Bill Belichick, who know how to play youthful quarterbacks who have not seen a lot of NFL action. So Sam Ehlinger is basically a rookie, even though he is in, year 2, year 3 now? So, I mean, Bill Belichick is going to light him up on the blitz and the defensive packages, so you got to hope Ehlinger is ready for all of that. Deion Jackson is a low-risk play because he's just going to get volume upside all day long. The last time he filled in for JT, he had a very good contest, so I would definitely fire up Deion Jackson without even thinking about it to replace JT. Philip Lindsay's going to be the spellback likely in this contest. Maybe we see a little Zach Moss. I don't know. He was the participant in that trade with Naheem Hines, but I think Philip Lindsay is going to get a majority of that. Low-risk level play. Do not start Philip Lindsay. I don't like that play at all. Michael Pittman gets a low-level risk for me. Again, he was being targeted a lot. He was the favorite target for Ehlinger, even though he did drop that pass, which likely would have been a house call. Good Lord, Pittman, we needed it. You firing up Pittman everywhere. Alec Pierce and Paris Campbell both get mid-level risks, and this is the thing for me in this contest. I think Paris is kind of, pulling away as being the front runner for targets over Alec Pierce at this point. We haven't seen enough utilization, even with Matt Ryan, as the last few weeks before he got benched. It was kind of fading, and it was going towards more of Paris Campbell. So at this point, I'm trusting Paris over Pierce. That's a mouthful in itself, but I'm trusting Paris to be the better play, even though these are both, tricky plays, tricky starts for your fantasy team. I don't really care for them at this point, but I would definitely trust Paris Campbell if you're in that direction. Mo Alley Cox continues. Mo Cox, Mo problems, and we're not even going to dissect that because he's not doing anything. You're looking elsewhere. The Jacksonville Jaguars taking on the Las Vegas Raiders, and I mean, Trevor Lawrence, he saw better days than last week. I did not like it. I'm giving him a mid-level risk against the Vegas defense that is very bad, and they're not stopping anybody at this point, and I think, Vegas is going to want to rebound after last week's ugly performance, but Trevor Lawrence has been doing this roller coaster ride every single week. It's very difficult to trust him, but I got a mid-level risk. I think he'll have a much better day in this contest. As for my guy, Travis Etienne, everybody stand up and give a bow and a clap because Travis Etienne is here to stay. Stud start of the week for these Jacksonville Jaguars. He's almost at 100 points now since taking over. They traded away James Robinson before the deadline, and you got to love what we see. He looks good. He looks fast, and I mean, he's getting his, his mojo right back. Travis Etienne is just gorgeous right now for all fantasy purposes. Christian Kirk, I'm giving him a low-risk level play in this contest as well. It's been a couple games since we've seen him actually take off and do some damage. This should be the game that we see it come back to fruition. Kirk should be trusted to gain a lot of productivity in this contest. Fire him up and don't even think twice about that. Zay Jones, Marvin Jones. There is a little revenge game for a Zay Jones. He used to play for the Vegas Raiders, so we could definitely see him utilized in this contest just a little bit more to kind of stick it back to his former club of the Raiders, even though he was first a Buffalo Bill. But Zay Jones, I would probably play over Marvin Jones at this point. Evan Ingram gets a low-risk play. I've been flirting with this guy on my streaming tight ends for the last 4 weeks. He's getting 6 to 8 targets every single week now, and I mean, you could trust the volume upside at least. When he scores the touchdown, it's that much better, but at least you're getting good volume PPR upside from an Evan Ingram. He is definitely one of my favorite streaming tight end options right now. If you got him, fire him up versus these Raiders, who are not good versus tight ends this season. Kansas City Chiefs taking on the Tennessee Titans on Sunday Night Football. Patrick Mahomes, he's got a new toy in Kadarius Toney. Patrick Mahomes obviously stud start every single week. Clyde Edwards-Helaire gets a mid-level risk for me this week. Everybody fell for the Pacheco thing. Good Lord, you guys. Like, what are you thinking? Just because he had rap sheet says, he's going to be taking lead reps. That's Andy Reid coach speak, man. You got to see it to believe it. You should have never played him. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I think he's after the bye week. I think they're going to get back to the ground game just a little bit more. Utilize him in the pass. He's got to get back to the good graces. Kind of fallen off the last couple of weeks. Edwards-Helaire is a start for me. I think he's going to do very well in this contest. Juju Smith-Schuster, McCole Hardman, Marquez Valdes-Scantling, Kadarius Toney now round out the wide receiver room here in Kansas City. Juju gets low-level risk where McCole gets a mid-level. I'm trusting Juju this week over McCole, even though we did see a lot of Tyreek Hill plays going to Hardman the last couple weeks before the bye week. This is very big positives for a McCole Hardman. I want to see a little bit more of it with consistency before I jump him up, into the low-risk plays. He's got mid-level risk because it could still be a little hit and miss, and I want to see what Kadarius Toney's going to do on this field. He's had 2 weeks to at least dissect this playbook, so we'll see. There could be some sprinkles. Can he stay healthy? That's another question. So you're keeping Kadarius on the bench. You're keeping Valdez on the bench. McCole could be a flex play, and you're starting Juju, and you're obviously firing up Travis Kelce as a stud start. I got him this week once again. He's just lights out good. Every single week you play him. The Los Angeles Chargers also coming off the bye week, taking on the Atlanta Falcons in Atlanta. And I mean, Justin Herbert. So hopefully now, after the week of rest, the ribs are going to get a little bit better. I'm going to go on a limb a little bit because he hasn't been great. He has not been great this season. And a lot of that can be attributed to the rib injury, no question about it. His throws are off. His patience is off. He's protecting himself a lot. I think he could be back to good levels after the week off. I'm giving him low-level risk, man. 3 boom games only this season for a Justin Herbert. They really require this pass game to get back in the good graces, but it's going to be difficult because they don't have Keenan Allen. They don't have Mike Williams. They are both injured and out for this contest, so it's going to be another big-time showing for Austin Eckler, who also gets a stud start of the week for these Chargers for me. Sony Michel, high-level risk. You're not looking in his direction, but if we're talking wide receivers, Josh Palmer is playing. He's going to be passing the concussion protocol right away here if he hasn't already, if I haven't seen. Low-risk level play, he's just going to get peppered with targets, even versus Atlanta's top coverage. I think Josh Palmer is good enough to beat them all. DeAndre Carter, also mid-level risk. He's going to see some targets come his way because there's no one else to throw the damn ball to except for Gerald Everett. I'm giving him the stud start. I think he is going to be a very big safety blanket for a Gerald Everett. They're going to run a lot. They're going to throw a lot to Eckler. Gerald Everett could get a touchdown this week, and I'm trusting Joshua Palmer in a very big way versus these Atlanta Falcons. I think that they have a big bounce back coming off the bye week. The Los Angeles Rams taking on the Tampa Bay Bucks in Tampa. I mean, they've seen better days in LA. With this Rams offense, Sean McVay, word has it that he's kind of tied to all the star talent on this team, and once they leave, he's going to retire. This is not a good look if you're, planning your retirement party because this offense can't do ish without, Cooper Kupp. He hurt his ankle, but he's likely suiting up, was not on the injury report. Matthew Stafford gets a mid-level risk for me this week. You can't trust it. The offense just does not look the same as what they did. Very inexplosive, not explosive whatsoever. Darrell Henderson, mid-level risk as well. Tampa Bay still has some dogs to stop the run, even though they lost buddy Shaquille Barrett for the Achilles, so they're going to lose some pass rushing, which is going to assist Matthew Stafford from seeing a top-end rush, while Darrell Henderson could maybe see a few more holes open up for him. Cam Akers, high-level risk. I mean, he's not on the injury report, likely going to suit up. They sent that Rivers kid back to the practice squad, so we'll see what happens. He's not happy. He wanted out of L.A., but he's still there. Cooper Kupp, stud start every single week. If he's playing, you're obviously playing him, and he's likely going to still put up big numbers for you. Allen Robinson, Van Jefferson. You got high risk for Allen Robinson. You got a low upside floor for Van Jefferson, who didn't even catch a pass last week, so I don't know what they're doing. He's supposed to, be the X factor to help this offense move forward. Van Jefferson, he just didn't even see the ball come his way. Tyler Higbee, mid-level risk. I mean, he's just so hit and miss every single week. 1 week he pops, the next couple weeks he doesn't, and it's just so difficult to trust. I'm keeping all them Robinson, Jefferson, Higbee on my bench. If you're stuck for running backs, you're firing up a Henderson, Matthew Stafford, keep him on the bench, and Cooper Kupp, you got to start him everywhere you got him. The Las Vegas Raiders, like I said, taking their talents, lack thereof, I should say, but I mean to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Derek Carr, man, you got to figure this out. I get it. It's a new offensive system. I mean, but you guys have had, 8 weeks to deal with this already? And I mean, really? That's what you guys put on the show on display? You completely derailed everybody's fantasy day. I mean, I got a mid-level risk for Derek Carr this week. He's got to get out of his own funk, out of his own way this week. Start dialing up the ball to Devontae. Get Hunter Renfrow involved. Start doing something different. You guys are too predictable, way too vanilla. Josh Jacobs, he's going to be back on the stud start list for me. Even though the Jaguars are decent at times at stopping the run, the stats don't say that, so I'm starting up a Josh Jacobs with a stud start designation because I think he's going to rebound from last week, have a monster day for you as well, as is Devontae Adams. He was held to like 1 catch last week. Just horrible performance all around. Fire him up this week as a stud start. He should bounce back in a very big way. Mac Hollins, mid-level risk. He's just so boomer bust. You don't know when it's going to happen, what's going to happen. Hunter Renfrow, high risk right now. You cannot play a Hunter Renfrow at all. Same with Darren Waller. He is questionable with the hamstring still. Likely going to suit up. Haven't heard anything that he's not playing in this contest. But again, what does that even mean? Is he going to do anything on the field? Is he going to re-injure himself? Big time injury risk for Darren Waller. Some people are already considering dropping this man, if you can believe it, at this point of the season. But I mean, Darren Waller, I mean, if he plays, you got to suit him up, man, because he still is a top tight end in this league that has potential to, do some damage. So, I mean, if he does play, I would throw him in my tight end spot unless you got a better option, which I highly doubt because tight end is very difficult. The Miami Dolphins taking their travel to Chicago. And this is going to be an interesting game because this is kind of a trap game for Miami. Everybody's talking up Tua. Everybody's saying, singing the good graces for a Tua Tagovailoa that he is, doing unbelievably well. He's not doing bad, but I mean, is he really doing that well? I mean, I think, a lot of the masking of his inadequacy right now is from Tyreek and Jalen Waddle. They're doing everything in their power to, not get interceptions for Tua, where they're making good plays. That pass last week versus Detroit, double coverage, Tyreek came back and bailed out Tua on what should have been an interception. 5 dropped interceptions versus Pittsburgh. So I don't know what the national media is saying about Tua. He's not a bad QB, but he is making mistakes in the wrong times, and he's getting lucky and fortunate that they're not being picked off because of supreme talent like Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Both stud starts, once again, they're just killing it right now. Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill, they're absolutely phenomenal players at this point. Raheem Mostert gets a mid-level risk, and they shipped out Chase Edmonds for Jeff Wilson, so Coach McDaniels had enough. He brought back the San Francisco connection in Mostert and Wilson. Now they're once again back on the same team. So if you're stuck at running back, which a lot of you are, I do not hate firing up at Jeff Wilson. I think it's going to be rather seamless for him to understand the playbook because it is the same as it was. Majority of it's the same as it was in San Fran. So I mean, for me, I put him as a high risk because you just don't know the volume that he's going to get. But if you're stuck, I don't hate starting a Jeff Wilson. Raheem Mostert, obviously, you have him, you can play him. He's at least carrying the rock enough to trust at this point. Mike Gesicki, he's now climbed up to the mid-level risk for me because now at least they're sprinkling the 3 of these wide receivers, pass catchers, the Hill, Waddle, and Gesicki, at least enough to get you point productivity. Gesicki finds the end zone, you're gold. If he doesn't, you're kind of sad. So, I mean, that's kind of your ladder with a Mike Gesicki, but Jalen Waddle time. I think he's going to have another very big day versus the Bears defense that just shipped off Roquan Smith. Good Lord. I think the running game is going to also be pretty good for Miami this week, but the Bears should put up a fight, at least from the offensive side. Minnesota Vikings taking on the Washington Commanders. The Commies, they got some troubles. The owner's going to sell the team up in Washington, so that's going to be on their mind. But Kirk Cousins, I believe they're coming off the bye, and he is a low-risk level play for me. This offense now, they got TJ Hawkinson, just adding weapons to the rich. You got to love it for these Vikings fans. Dalvin Cook, he's going to get a stud start. It just hasn't been enough. He's got 5 boom games this year, but this is the game where you want to see him take over and take charge, and I do believe it's going to happen. They're going to give him a good set of carries. It's been a couple weeks week since he aggravated that shoulder injury. So I do believe that this is going to be Dalvin Cook Day. I think he's going to break off a couple runs, should be able to find the end zone with ease. He should have a very good day. Stud start for me for Dalvin Cook. Madison, high risk, but he could give you some potential if you're stuck, but I would not trust it. He should be on your bench this week. Justin Jefferson, stud start, not even thinking about it. Where Adam Thielen, he gets a mid-level risk, where I do believe this is the problem. So with a TJ Hawkinson here, this does hurt an Adam Thielen on the top-end ceiling value. So we could see in this contest where Hawkinson is maybe, force-fed a little bit just to get him comfortable in this offense, where Adam Thielen could take a back seat. However, I do understand the lack of options that you have out there. Fire up Adam Thielen, fire up TJ Hawkinson this week as well, because I think they'll have enough. Hawkinson, just temper the expectations for a low floor, because that could definitely happen. If you have better options, you have a streaming option that has a better matchup, definitely take that option. But Hawkinson, we'll see. It could be some red zone appeal where Adam Thielen's getting all the, over the middle work as per typical we usually see from these Minnesota Vikings. The New England Patriots taking on the Indianapolis Colts, and Mac Money Jones is not looking good. I might have to change his nickname. There's no more money. It's just, it's looking bad, man. So we'll see. He's got a, decent matchup versus these Indianapolis Colts defense that has been susceptible to giving up some decent plays. But Damian Harris, I got him on the list here. He was a questionable. He's with an illness. He's sick right now. I just heard that they were potentially, he's not going to play in this game. He's trending on the wrong side of starting or playing. So definitely got to be up for that. So that means Ramondre Stevenson is another stud start. This man has been on a tear. Running back 6 right now in fantasy football. If you got him late in drafts, you're absolutely smiling ear to ear because he's killing it. Stud start for Ramondre Stevenson for me this week. Low risk play for Jacoby Myers. This guy's just turning out plays every single week, finding the end zone. I was a little too low on this man. Not giving his due, not giving his respect. I give it to you this week, Myers. You got a low risk play, even though we could see some Steph Gilmore on you this week, but we'll see how that goes. Tyquan Thornton, Nelson Aguilar, Hunter Henry, all high-risk plays. I would definitely look in another direction. Devontae Parker is out of this contest with an injury as well. The New Orleans Saints, like I said, they come off a shutout performance. Defense looked absolutely phenomenal last week. All the injuries they had, they were still able to shut down the Raiders. Just absolute great contest they did perform. This week, though, going on Monday Night Football versus the Ravens, who got themselves a Roquan Smith. This is going to change this defense. Believe you me, Roquan is a dog. He is a game changer on that defense. He's going to absolutely give what Baltimore has been craving. They've been asking Patrick Queen to do way too much on this field, and it's been telling. So now you get Patrick Queen to play the position that he is most comfortable in, and now you got Roquan just actually being the guy like a Ray Lewis in the middle of the field. This is good gracious for this Baltimore Ravens defense. Andy Dalton, I'll give him a mid-level risk play for that alone, because I think, we saw it before when there's a lot of pressure coming to Andy Dalton, he's going to struggle. And I think that they're going to bring the house, man. They're going to make Andy very much uncomfortable in this contest. No Michael Thomas, no Mark Ingram. Jarvis Landry is questionable with an ankle. We'll see if he suits up and what his role will be. But Alvin Kamara does get a stud start, because I do believe he is going to be utilized again very heavily in this contest. He is the offense with Chris Olave. Stud start for him as well, because this defense on the secondary is known to give up big plays on the air yard. So I do believe that Chris Olave is going to get his opportunity. If he can haul them in, he could have a very big day, firing up Alvin and Chris Olave everywhere you got him. Jarvis Landry, injury risk. You're not trusting this right now, even though PPR upside is kind of, makes you drool a little bit. You need a tissue to wipe your chin. You got to see it to believe it. He's been out for too long. He's got to get his legs back under him before we can trust that. We're Shaheed, high-level risk. It's hit or miss, boom or bust, big-time play, and I mean, that is what it is. Taysom Hill gets a low-level risk play without a Mark Ingram. They're definitely going to utilize this man a lot in this contest in the backfield, trying to spell out an Alvin Kamara when they have him, so definitely Taysom Hill can be trusted this week at the tight end spot if you have him. The New York Jets taking on those Buffalo Bills. Zach Wilson, he had a boom game last week, believe it or not. With all the interceptions he was tossing, he still got over 19 points. I mean, and that's good productivity. I got a high-level risk for him this week. There could be some garbage time for him, but I think the Bills' defense, even with the injuries that they do possess, I think this pass rush is going to come after him. They're going to test him a lot, confuse him a lot with the zone coverages that the Bills love to play. So Zach, I definitely not playing him. He is likely on the wire anyway. Michael Carter, James Robinson, mid-level risk for both these running backs. You got to trust one of them, and I mean, if you have them, you play them because you need to play running backs. If you have no better option, I don't like either one of them this week either. Even though the Buffalo Bills were gashed on the ground, everyone's going to think last week versus the Green Bay Packers, everyone's going to think that it's going to be, replicated by the Jets this week. I just don't see it. It's very difficult to trust. The Bills may bend, but I don't think they're going to break, as been their MO this season. Garrett Wilson, mid-level risk. He did play a lot better than we saw in previous weeks where Zach Wilson was feeding him just a little bit more, so maybe that's something to continue down this path. We'll see how Garrett Wilson does versus this Bills secondary that is still very, very strong. Elijah Moore, he's got no chemistry, according to him in the interview. He just says he doesn't get the ball. Keep him on the bench, high-level risk. Same with Braxton Berrios, high-level risk because Corey Davis is out. That is your wide receiver core in New York, where Tyler Conklin actually came back to life after a couple of weeks off. I mean, we saw a lot of garbage time productivity come his direction. We could see that again versus the Buffalo Bills, who could exploit, the Bills do need a good bounce-back game in this contest, if I'm not mistaken, because, they did not look good in that second half. You want to wash off that stink very, very quickly. But again, the defense, man, is going to have to play lights out for the Jets for them to have any chance, which I don't think they're going to have a big one. The Seattle Seahawks taking on the Arizona Cardinals, as mentioned, in Arizona. Geno Smith has just been playing a baller style, 145.7 points. Geno, man. Geno, you're just killing it right now. He is definitely a start, low-risk play for me. Kenneth Walker, stud start. This rookie loved his game in college at Michigan State, and you got to love what he's doing right now. Four boom games since taking over for Rashad Penny. He's elite, man. What can you say? When I scouted him last year in the draft process, I said the same things. He just needed the opportunity, and Seattle gave it to him based on injury. Stud start once again for a Kenneth Walker. The third low-level risk plays for DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. You can start trusting these guys, both of them, every single week because of the great play of Geno Smith. So with the running upside of Kenneth Walker, the play-action pass is working. Give some props to Pete Carroll. He figured everything out. He was on his way out, man. Everybody knew. They're like, it's time for Seattle to move on from Pete Carroll. He has resurrected his life in Seattle, and especially with Geno Smith, they will give him a blank check when his contract is up because he is going to be there till he retires or passes, I should say. But I mean, I know don't like to joke about that, but I mean, you know what I'm saying. Will Disley, high-level risk. I mean, you can't trust him right now. He's not doing enough because Geno Smith is feeding all the playmakers. So keep him on the bench or the waiver wire where he belongs at this point. Tampa Bay, the Buccaneers taking on the LA Rams at home. Tom Brady, mid-level risk. He's got 123 points. He's been so up and down. You're talking roller coaster ride. This one is just like Six Flags, a crazy roller coaster because you don't understand what these Buccaneers are doing. I'm giving him a mid-level risk this week. I think the Rams defense is good enough still to put some pressure on Tommy Touchdown, make life difficult. I could first see him getting the 15-point threshold, but it's going to be, laboring, struggling type of contest for a Tom Brady. I don't really like it. I want to see, I want to see it to believe it, I guess, is the best way I can put it. I don't trust it a lot. I mean, I know you're going to likely start Tom Brady, but again, temper the expectations because I just don't like what I see from this offense whatsoever on the consistent level. We got Leonard Fournette, Uncle Lenny, still getting the low-risk play. He's over 114 points. He's getting the PPR work. He's getting the check down work. He's getting the goal line work. He's getting it all. And everybody keeps saying Rachaad White's going to take over this backfield. I was one of them too, but you know what? Leonard Fournette, he knows. He's like, I got to keep playing to keep my job, and he's continuously playing. I got a low-level risk for this man as well. Keep White on the bench. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, both get low-risk plays for me. You're firing up both these individuals. A lot of PPR upside to a Chris Godwin. He's been getting a lot of target share. He should be trusted once again. Mike Evans, just don't drop those 75-yard touchdowns, and everybody will be smiling once again because, I mean, you should be well over 100 points, sir, at this point. Just, don't make those mistakes. Julio Jones, high-level risk. I mean, we got Russell Gage out, so, I mean, Julio could potentially see some target share again late like we saw last week, scoring a late garbage time touchdown. Just too hard to trust Julio at this point. I mean, we'll see if this offense can actually figure something out and start, becoming more consistent. Then Julio will get back on the radar. But I mean, Cade Otton has got the PPR upside. Full PPR leagues only, you can fire up a Cade Otton because Tom Brady does look in his direction, and you can get the 6 receptions for 40 yards, and at least get you that 8 points. That's very difficult to get from the tight end position anyway. So definitely in that direction. Tennessee Titans on Sunday Night Football. Ryan Tannehill, this is the big one, man. He's not practicing very much this week, very much limited participant. He is questionable right now on the ankle. We could see a Malik Willis again. That was just not good. I mean, you threw him to the Wolves, didn't look really prepared. Even if Ryan Tannehill plays this week, you're not trusting that. You're not even streaming that. Keep him on the waiver wire. It's no good because this game, I mean, the Chiefs are favored by like 12.5 points. And, I mean, it's got to be King Henry, right? So you got to understand the MO, the Tennessee Titans right now. It's rush with King Henry. You're doing some, change of pace and PPR upside to Dontrell Hilliard. So, I mean, that's coming up as well. Stud start for Henry, mid-level risk for Hilliard. But that's, again, very much in part to how they're going to play this Chiefs team. So it's got to be ball control the clock, get Henry involved. Hopefully some play action pass will work. I mean, Malik Willis didn't even throw the ball last week in that second half, so they just continuously rode Henry. I think that's going to be what's going to happen again this week. So huge volume upside to a King Henry. Robert Woods, his low floor continues. He's a great blocking wide receiver. I mean, what else can you say? We saw it in Buffalo. You saw it in LA. He's one of the best blocking wide receivers in the NFL, which sucks for fantasy football. And I mean, all the others, Westbrook, Akeen, and Austin Hooper, high-level risks. This passing attack in Tennessee is dreadful. You are not starting even Robert Woods this week until we see a lot of that come back to fruition. The Washington Commanders, the Commies, taking on these Minnesota Vikings in disarray. But Tyler Heineke, man, pop the Heinekens because he's got his game going again, man. He's got 2 boom games since taking over for Carson Wentz, almost 40 points. You can stream this, man. He's going to throw. Like I said, the last couple of weeks, he's a gunslinger. We know what he can do. And who did he bring back to life? Our guy, Scary Terry McLaurin, back to life with a Tyler Heineke. He is not afraid to put the ball in his direction, and Terry's going to come down with the ball. So I got a mid-level risk still on Heineke because Minnesota's defense has been playing very well. It's going to be a difficult contest for Washington anyway. Antonio Gibson does get the low-risk play over a Brian Robinson for me this week. I mean, how should I put this? He is doing the most with his touches, Gibson is right now, and I think that's going to continue to keep him on the field. Very much difficult to pull him off when he's making the plays he is, and Brian Robinson at this point is still struggling to find his groove. Robinson is a good running back. It's just going to take him time to understand the NFL game, the pro game, find those little, holes to gallop through, but I got low-level risk on a Gibson, mid-level risk on Robinson, low risk on a Terry McLaurin, firing him up, mid-level risk on a Curtis Samuel. They're going to have to need it. They're going to need him in this contest, so I think It's a risk. It is because it's so up and down for a Curtis Samuel, but you still don't have a Jahan Dotson. He's still dealing with a hamstring injury. Diami Brown, high-level risk. Logan Tomlin, high-level risk. Do not start these individuals. But Curtis Samuel, I think I'm playing him this week because I do believe it's been too long for the secondary pieces. However, Heineke's got to be able to spread the ball. And I think they wanted to get him a little more comfortable with Gibson and McLaurin once again. But I think Curtis Samuel could be a safe option this week at your flex position with high PPR upside, and we should see that come to fruition. But Heineke, if you're streaming, you can definitely trust him because he's giving you the points you need. So there you have it. That is bye-week Armageddon. Bye-mageddon, I guess, is kind of the word I'm going for. But hopefully I gave you guys some options that you can plug and play this week. Do not give up, man. Fantasy is a game that you can continuously win if you just string some wins together. Do not give up on me. Play this whole thing out, and we will get there. I'm telling y'all. But nevertheless, as always, don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, jump in those comments, start sit questions, throw them in there. I'll answer them all back. I'm telling y'all. But we'll see you next time. I am out.